Alright, y'all, quick thing before we jump into today's episode. I want to be consistent with releasing podcast episodes every Wednesday. I've done pretty good, but there have been some weeks where I fell off, and I just want to be as consistent as possible. And so I wanted to just talk about the length of episodes. You might start to see that there's a different length. Maybe they're an hour long, a half hour long. We might get to a point where they're like only 15 to 20 minutes long. And that's just because I'm one person trying to balance the podcast and the things that are going on in my life behind the camera. And so I just want to give you that quick disclaimer, but I just want to make sure that the episodes that I release are quality. Nobody wants to sit there and listen to an hour of BS. I don't want to do that. I don't want to put that out there. I don't want people listening to that. And so if you see that the times start fluctuating, that's why. I'm really going to try and make sure that the quality is always as good as it has been. And so let's go ahead and jump right into the episode. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Hood Soft Life podcast. I'm your host, Sabrina, and in this podcast, we talk about navigating the challenges that come with growing up in the hood and leaving those challenges behind for a soft life. Growing up in the hood has its own set of challenges, but what people don't tend to tell you is not only do those challenges follow you once you've made it out physically, but they tend to intensify. So, I'm bringing you along on my journey. I'm going to be honest with you about the struggles and the lessons that I'm learning to achieve a soft life. In this episode, we're just going to be honest. I'm going to give you a life update, and I'm going to talk about some of the things that I'm going through, and I'm really going to be talking about what does freedom look like? What does it look like for me, and some ways to help you identify what that looks like for you. So, let's get started. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that I think this is probably the first time I've ever had my arms out on an episode, which I know sounds kind of weird, but even at work the other day, I finally wore like a short sleeve like shirt, and people are like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that you had like tattoos and stuff. You can't really see them that well in this video, but yeah, I just thought I would bring that up. It's something a little bit different, and I have some things that I'm looking forward to coming up this month, so let's just talk about it. Where am I at right now in life? First, I want to apologize for not dropping an episode last week. I have been going through a couple of personal things that I did not expect. I've had a couple of health problems on and off for a little bit of time now. And I kind of just ignored the health issues because I am not somebody that just likes to go to the doctor or likes to take medicine. I kind of like want to see if it'll ride out. If not, then I'll go. But I'm starting to realize that I'm having a serious issue with my stomach and I don't know what's going on. So I finally took it upon myself to go and get some help for that and get a primary care doctor because I don't have one at the moment. As well as like a GI doctor to figure out what's going on with my stomach specifically. So I wanted to take some time away to really just focus on that and try and figure out what is causing the issues. I know that they say that a lot of times stress can cause issues with your stomach and like with your gut health. So I was trying to figure out if like minimizing some stress in my life will help me, whatever the case may be. But I did go and talk to a doctor, and I did get some doctors and a primary care referral, so I'm hoping that that will help me. I know I dropped an episode pretty recently about like feeling stuck and feeling like, I don't know, like I wasn't just 100% sure of where I was going. I was dealing with a lot of rejection in terms of like, what do I want to do with my career and so on and so forth. And so I'm still experiencing that rejection. I'm still feeling like I'm stuck. And so I am just taking the time to really understand what it is that I want to do in my next role. I don't want to take a job that I have to take just to pay my bills. And so I've really just been focusing on what it is that I want, what it is that I don't want, and what steps can I take for myself? What moves can I make for myself? Do I want to go to grad school? I always wanted to continue my schooling. That's just something that I'm interested in. Do I want to go to grad school or do I want to get a job? Is grad school required for the job that I want? Especially because I don't have a lot of experience in what it is that I want to do. So is that going to be necessary for me? And just really figuring out like what my next steps are and addressing the feelings that are coming with that. I think the biggest thing for me is feeling like whenever I see that I'm like in a point in my life where I'm like stuck or it almost feels like regression, I get very anxious and I think about like, what if I have to go back to the life that I had growing up? What if I have to go back to that type of poverty? What if I have to like move back to where I'm from? What if I have to do this, that, and a third? And it causes so much stress, which is why I was trying to figure out if stress was the reason for my stomach issues, because I'm at a point right now where there is is a lot of high stress. Do I want to stay in my apartment that I'm at? My lease is about to be up. Do I want to move? Do I want to go to grad school? If I do, then I have to get started now. What am I going to do in terms of a career? I need to start making moves. And so I'm feeling kind of stressed out, and I'm trying to keep myself grounded. But in this time, with my mental health, my physical health, and just where I want to be career-wise, the one thing that's remained true is knowing full and well like that I want to be free. I want a sense of freedom that I haven't had before in my entire life, and what that looks like for me. So I'm going to be talking about like the definition of freedom, what the freedom that I want looks like for me, and how you can achieve that freedom. Oh, you know what? There was actually something I forgot to mention. So if you can hear that, my birthday is coming up. We're about a month away and some change from my 24th birthday, and I'm super excited about that. So that's another update in my life. And I'm going to be getting my 8th tattoo, and I'm super duper excited about that. I can't wait. That's pretty much all that I want to do for my birthday. If I decide I want to do something else, I'll go ahead and do that, but that is another life update. All right, what is freedom? So I have some definitions for you here. So the first definition I have is freedom: the power or right to act, speak, or think as one wants without hindrance or restraint. The second definition for freedom is freedom: the state of not being imprisoned or enslaved. Now, taking into account my identity and anybody who identifies as a Black person, I don't want to continue to use the term enslaved. That can bring up a lot of emotions for people, and I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to say it for the purpose of the definition and move on. But I wanted to go with the second definition of feeling imprisoned or feeling stuck, feeling like you have no control, because I feel like that's what a lot of people think of when they say they want freedom over their life. They want to be able to make the types of decisions that they want when they want. They want to be able to move and execute on things when they feel like it. They don't want to feel confined. They don't want to feel restrained. They don't want to feel imprisoned in any way, shape, or form. And that's where I'm at right now. I feel like I don't have a lot of freedom over my life in terms of my career at the moment, in terms of my everyday desires. I feel like I don't have a lot of freedom over that. There are a lot of freedoms that I have now that I didn't have before. I have the freedom to be able to travel whenever I want to by car, at least because I have a car, and that was something that I didn't have before. I have the freedom to decide, do I want to work this job or that job? I felt like I didn't have that freedom before when I just got out of college, because I needed to get experience in some way, shape, or form. And that's why I took a job in education. And now I'm starting to understand, like, I have the freedom to move however I want, whenever I want. Another thing that I feel a lot of freedom over now is my freedom to choose who I surround myself with. Anybody who feels like they're not in a safe or healthy family may not feel like they have the freedom to be able to just move about however they want. Maybe you are surrounded by quote unquote friends in your school or in your area that you can't really get away from because they're around you every single day. So you may not feel like you have the freedom to choose who you can be around. But I am grateful to say, like, I now have that freedom to choose who I'm around. I have the freedom to distance myself from people who don't serve me. And so I'm grateful for those freedoms. But there are places in my life where I would like to have a little bit more freedom, like freedom in my career, freedom in my personal life, and freedom in my ability to do the things that I want to do in general. There are 3 categories that I picked for this episode that I wanted to talk about in terms of freedom, and that is freedom over my career, freedom over my personal life, and freedom over my mental and emotional health. And I'm going to be talking about that in just a second, but something I wanted to touch on first is how I got to this feeling of intense desire for freedom. How did I know like I wanted to be free? What did that mean to me? And what experiences shaped that thought for me? And so one, of course, growing up in poverty definitely shaped that for me. Growing up when you have a lot of things that you can't have because of your circumstances makes you want to have things even more. And not just like monetary things or like physical things, but even like mental and emotional things, right? You grow up and you're not able to afford therapy, and it's something that's important to you. When you get older, you're going to be like, I want the freedom to be able to afford mental health services that are going to benefit me. And so growing up and not having things that I wanted, it only made me want that even more and want that freedom even more. I'm starting to realize, like, yes, my past plays a role in it, but not the biggest role. Honestly, the biggest role in my desire for freedom and really trying to push towards that is the experiences that I'm going through now in my early 20s. I'm out of college and I'm trying to figure out what it is that I want to do in the life that I want to have, and what does that look like for me. Growing up in poverty and not having things plays a role, because when you're young, and if you're somebody who is really not stuck in that path, because it can be very easy to get stuck there, but when you're young and you don't have certain things, you take mental note of that and you're like, I'm going to be able to do that when I get older. I want the freedom to be able to do that or have that or buy that when I'm older. And so that was one factor for sure. But after getting out of college and figuring out like, what do I do next? What is my next move? And kind of just taking a job because I needed one, I realized very quickly, like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to just take a job because I need one. If I'm going to be sitting and doing a task for 8 hours a day, whatever that is, I want to fucking enjoy it. I don't want to be sitting there grading papers all day. I don't want to be sitting there reading a case that I'm not interested in because I thought I was going to be a lawyer. I want to be able to do something that I love, something that fuels me, something that I can actually enjoy doing and want to come into work for and do. A lot of the people that are around me work jobs where it's kind of just like, I gotta go in, like it's just another day. Or they hate their jobs. It's just like, I can't believe I have to go into work tomorrow. And I'm not gonna lie, there are a lot of times where I feel that way too. I don't want to go. And it's just like, I don't want to live that life forever. I want to have the freedom to be able to have a job that I enjoy, that I love, that fulfills me because I can. All right. So there are 3 categories that I wanted to focus on for today's topic about freedom. And so that's going to be career, personal life, and then mental and emotional health. And so I'm going to be talking about my career first, some of the things that I'm looking for. And so what freedom looks like to me in my career is I want to be able to work at the very, very least hybrid. I want to be able to work from home 3 days a week and only have to go to the office 2 days a week, whatever works for me and whatever works for the company. But ideally, I want to work from home. I am getting tired of going to work. It's not really interesting to me. If it's a job that I want to do, like if I want to be able to do like podcast production for somebody else, I want to do that from home. I don't want to have to go to an office every single day for 8 hours a day if I can just get it done faster and better from the comfort of my own home. Another thing that looks like freedom for me in the workplace or in my career would be having a flexible work schedule. I want to be able to have a reasonable amount of time off to just live my life. I don't want my life to be built around my job. I want it to be that my job is built around my life. My life comes first, my life is at the center, and then my job works around it. I don't want to have a job where I have to plan when I get married around my job, plan when I have children around my job. I know some people who are planning their birth for their children and like the times that they can have their children around their work schedule. Life happens. I don't want to have a job that I can't just, if I want to have a baby at this time of the year, then I can do that, whatever the case may be. So I want my life to be at the center and I want my job to be built around that. And I want to be able to have a balance between work and life. I do not want to have to come home after work hours if I'm working in the office and I'm still doing work. If I work from home, once this time hits and like the day is done at this time, I'm closing my laptop. Please don't call me. Please don't text me about work. And that be that. That is something that's really important to me. I want to be able to feel like I have a life. I want to be able to work for a person or a company or organization, whatever, that understands that like I wasn't born to work here. I was born to be able to do the purpose that God has for me, have a life, enjoy my life, and then have a job to be able to fund that life, not the other way around. Something else that's really important for me in terms of freedom of my life, in terms of career, is doing something that I enjoy doing. I don't want to be doing a job for 8 hours a day and I fucking hate it. How? You know what I mean? Like, how is that freedom? Even if it's a job that pays me $6 million at the end of each year and I hate it, I can't do it. I'm sorry. I can't do it. I'm not going to be able to produce good work because I don't enjoy it. I'm not passionate about it. So I want it to be a job that I enjoy. I want it to be a job that I'm passionate about. Oh my gosh. Listen here. Next thing. A healthy work environment is so slept on and I'm not understanding why. We all gotta work. We all got bills to pay. And for some reason, like a healthy work environment is just being slept on. There are some people that are, really talking about like a healthy work environment this and a healthy working environment that. But when you actually go to work and you don't see that coming to play, that to me it makes no sense. It makes no sense. But anyway, long story short, freedom for me. I need a job where I can work for a healthy environment. I want to be able to be 110% myself, be supported and be celebrated for my identity, for the work that I contribute, etc. And I want to be able to work at a place where it's not toxic. I don't want to hear people talking about each other. I don't want to hear people doing this, that, and the third to manipulate each other. I don't want to hear about people tearing each other down. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to hear about it. That's not cool. Like, especially if it's a place where the job that I do, I enjoy that. Like, that sucks because at some point it's like you don't want to work there anymore because of the environment, but you love what you do. I don't want to work for a toxic environment. Say it with me. I don't want to work for a toxic environment. And so that is freedom for me, because I don't want to have to go to a job every day where I'm anxious about walking in the door because I don't even know what I'm walking into. I don't even know what I'm dealing with. And last, but most certainly not least, something that is important for me in terms of freedom in my career is a salary that's going to allow me to live the life that I want to live. Listen, life out here is getting real expensive. Just the basic needs are getting real expensive. I want to have those met, and I want to be able to experience some of the luxuries in life, like traveling, like being able to buy nice things, or whatever the case may be, build my own home, etc. I want to be able to do those things, and I want a job that pays me well enough, handsomely, if you will, for the work that I do, so that I can have my basic needs met and live a life that I enjoy, live a life that I envision. So those are some of the top things in terms of freedom in my career. Next, we're going to be talking about freedom in my personal life. And in all honesty, while I was getting ready for this episode, these aren't heavily scripted. In all honesty, at this point, I come up with outlines, but I could not really figure out too many things in terms of what I wanted for freedom over my life, because I don't really have a personal life right now. In all honesty, I know that sounds real whack. That sounds crazy, but it's true. I mean, most of my friends don't live near me. My family members and I, we have different schedules and such. And so I don't really have a lot of freedoms listed down for my personal life at the moment. That doesn't mean that won't change. It doesn't mean that there's some that I just forgot about. But what I have listed here is I want to be able to move as many times as I want to wherever I want. I've only moved twice in my life, and I didn't move that far away from where I'm from. Yeah, that's right. I didn't move that many times from where I'm originally from. And so I feel like that's not necessarily like a big step for me. I want to be able to move to a different state that's further away. I want to be able to start fresh and live on my own in a different place and just see what that's like, see what it's like to be able to build my own community in a different place from scratch and try that out. And if I hate it, hey, I can move to the next place. I want to be able to just see what the world has to offer, see what new places have to offer, and see if I want to be able to start my life somewhere else, or if maybe my life is supposed to be in New England. I highly doubt it, but I want to be able to move a couple of times to make a decision. That's one thing that's really important to me. And the next thing is I want to be able to build and own my own home. I don't know how many people in my family own their own homes. I think it's just one person right now. But I want to be able to build my own home. One, because I just find the process so fascinating. I freaking love looking at houses, open houses, tours, But also because I want to be able to build something that I've never seen with my own touch, with my partner in the future, of course. But I want to be able to build something that I've never seen before and have that freedom of choosing what my house looks like, choosing how big or small my house is, choosing how many rooms there are based on how many children I want to be able to raise when I'm older. And so that's another thing that I've been thinking a lot about in terms of my personal life. And I guess the last thing that I'll say is I want to be able to travel more for vacations and just take the time to relax. I am someone who struggles with relaxing and enjoying vacations. I've never really been on that many vacations. I went on my first real vacation last summer, and it was very hard to enjoy because I had never been on a vacation before. So that was just a lesson for itself. But I want to be able to travel and see the world and spend time with my friends and loved ones and maybe a future man if you're listening to this, and maybe I don't even know that you exist, but I want to be able to travel and see the world. I want to be able to relax and enjoy what God has created and see it for myself. And so those are the top 3 things that I have for freedom in my personal life. Lastly, freedom over my mental and emotional health. I want to be able to let my traumas go. That's it. Nothing too serious about that one. Just I want to be able to move on in my life and fulfill the purpose that I have for my life without my traumas holding me back. And I feel like that's something that I'm struggling with. It's like I want to be able to let it go, but how do I let it go? And I'm not really sure. That's all I want. That's the freedom that I want for my mental and emotional health. I want to be able to be a good person, be a good partner and wife, be a good mother, be a good business owner. And I can't do those things without letting go of the traumas that I have and really healing myself with my emotional and mental health. And so that's really all I have. I just want to be able to let those things go and move on. They've happened. There's nothing I can do about them now. They've shaped a lot of parts of my life, some for better, some for worse, unfortunately, and I can't change them. What I can do is learn how to live with them and let them go. And if I've made mistakes in my past that I'm not 100% ready to forgive myself for, learn how to start giving myself the space to do that, because life goes on. I don't want to be the person that is holding myself from the life that I want to have. All right, let's talk about what freedom looks like for you. I don't know a lot of you, and I would love to learn a little bit more about you, so connect with me on some of the social media platforms. I'm going to work on being more active, I promise. But I want to be able to provide you with some prompts that will help you identify what freedom looks like for you, so that you can start putting in place some of the action steps to get to where you are now to where you want to be and closing that gap. And so here are some of the prompts that I have for you to journal in terms of freedom for your own life. All right, first one is think about a time where you felt the most free. What were you doing? Who were you with? What did you feel physically, mentally, and emotionally? Number 2, what makes you feel the most happy? Number 3, who makes you feel the most happy? Number 4, what traumas are holding you back from the freedoms you're looking for? And the last one, if you could have your dream life, what would it look like? Be specific. What are you wearing? What do you drive? Where do you live? What does your house look like? What do your pockets look like? Hey, pockets is most important. Hey, you can't have this life without them pockets. Are you in a relationship? And if you are, is it the relationship that you wanted? What traumas have you released? And how does that feel? Who are you? Etc. I'm actually going to share a small portion of my journaling prompt from what my dream life looks like. Let me just go grab my journal. Okay, I'm back with my journal, and I'm going to read some sections of the journal prompt that I did for what my dream life looks like. I'm not going to read the whole thing because it's super long. Like, when you do this, you need to be in detail. I'm talking about, like, what are you wearing? Tell me the colors. Tell me the size. Where are you walking to? What does it feel like outside? What does your man or your partner look like? What do your kids look like? How do they laugh? What do they do? What do they do for fun? What do you do for fun? Be as specific as possible. So this went on for pages and pages and pages, so I'm not going to read all of that. I also don't want to read all of it because a lot of it is personal, and you should keep this personal. You shouldn't share everything about your dream life with everybody that you talk to. Keep things for yourself. So I'm just going to read some of it, and I'm going to be jumping from certain parts of the journal prompt to try and give you a glimpse of what it looks like. So I'm just going to start with the first page, and it says, when I close my eyes and picture my dream life, this is what I see. I'm a successful podcaster and motivational speaker. The HSL podcast has helped so many people. I've created an athletic wear brand, blank, I'm not going to say the name, and it is a quality, body-positive athletic wear brand with a Puerto Rican line dedicated specifically to my family. I created the apparel line to highlight the life-changing habits that I gained from working out. I talk about how working out has impacted my mental health, created discipline in my life, and has helped me manage my internalized anger. The money that I make from the athletic wear brand goes to youth in poverty to help them gain access to their local gym. But my favorite part is, listen, I'm not a family content creator by any means. I don't have any kids. I don't have a husband, not yet. And I don't know if I would ever do that when I do have kids and a husband. I'm not 100% sure. But what I will say is I know Hyundai is out here sponsoring those family content creators, and I am with that 100%. But listen, Hyundai, if you ever listen to this episode, holla at your girl. I've been eyeing a Hyundai Palisade for a couple of years now, and I don't drive one right now. You're a little bit out of my price range, but listen, if you want to talk and you want to do business at some point, give your girl a call, because I will be driving that Hyundai Palisade until the wheels fall off. So I talk about what my dream car looks like. I'm driving a Hyundai Palisade of that same year. So if it's 2050, I'm driving a 2050 Hyundai Palisade. Still debating on whether or not it's matte black or if it's a wolf gray color, but what I do know is that I have black interior and that it's leather black interior, and I talk about how it was a gift because I am a partner with the Hyundai family. Listen, I like your girl. I'm so serious. And this is the last piece of the journal entry that I'll read, and it talks about what my in-home studio looks like a couple of years from now. I have a big in-home studio with 4 cameras and 4 microphones. My walls are gray, and I have an accent wall with all black art from various artists. My friends come over to do episodes, often for the Blink segment. I don't want to say that name because that is something that I plan on doing very soon. My studio has LED lights that read HSL Podcast behind me in purple. My desk is still white for the episodes that I do alone. On the other end of my office is the black art wall, and it has 4 couches that are set in front of it, each with its own podcast mic with the boom arm and a table set aside. For when I have guests, I have a total of 5 microphones, the one on my desk that I never move, and the other 4 for when I have guests. My office is cozy, but it's a place where I can concentrate, and I still have a bookshelf with all my books that are out of frame in the third wall. I have a giant monitor to help me see when I'm editing, and I have a closet in my office with HSL merch and my business clothing. Then I go on to talk about what my bedroom looks like and what my home looks like and so on and so forth. But that's essentially what the glimpse of the journal prompt is. Be as specific as you can possibly be. Talk about what it is that you want to see for yourself in your future life, and just start figuring out how you can close the gap in your future life. For example, in the journal entry that I read, I talked about my athletic wear brand that I want to create in the future and the purpose of it and what I want it to do. So if I want to be able to close the gap from where I'm at now, I don't have an athletic wear brand. I'm not in the process of building it yet, and being to the point where I've created that athletic wear brand that I want. It has the mission that I want, and it serves the purpose that I wanted it to serve. I just start closing the gaps. And so some things that I would do in my next journal entry is start figuring out, how can I close the gap? Number one, I need to start saving money specifically for this business venture. It's going to cost me money. I got to spend money to make money, and I'm perfectly okay with that. So I need to start saving money for this business venture so that I can get ready to build the closeout, build the prototypes, and start picking out what I want. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start educating myself on what it looks like to build a athletic apparel brand. What steps do I need to take to create that LLC? What steps do I need to take to get the materials? Where do I get the materials from? Where am I going to house these? Am I going to ship them on my own at first, or am I going to have to get a place where I can ship them out? What does that look like? Start getting the education and start just putting that into place. Now I'm going to start talking to people who already have athletic wear brands, talking to them like, what was your process? How did you start? What are some pieces of advice that you can give me, etc.? And continuing to move on from there, figuring out ways that I can close the gap. And I know it's going to take me a couple of years until I get to that point, and I'm okay with that. I'm not trying to rush. But the bottom line is I want to start figuring out steps that I can do to close the gap. So right now I'm at phase 1, and the biggest thing that I can do right now is start saving money. Start saving money for that business venture, because I want to get to the point where I have the money all set while I continue to do the next steps to get to where I want to be. So same thing with you. Let's say you're 16 and you just got your license and you're trying to save money to get a car, right? You want to get to the point where you have a car. You're at phase 1, you have your license already, and you're good. Start saving money. If you don't have a job, first thing you need to do is get a job. Start saving money. Start dictating that you're going to save 40% of your paycheck towards that car. Cool. Now you have a job. Now you're starting to save money. The next step that you want to do is figure out what kind of car do you want. And don't just pick a car that looks good. Like, I hear you. I want to be out here riding in style. Ain't nobody trying to be riding in no hoopty. I hear you. And pick a car that is going to be reliable. So do your research. What's going to be reliable for you? What's not going to cost you a lot of money to repair when you need to repair? Because listen, it's going to cost a lot of money. Save some money aside for car taxes if your state has that. Over here, they got that, and it be having me in a chokehold every single year, because you never know what that bill is going to look like. Start setting those things aside, getting those things in order, and then when you get to the point where you finally reached enough money, sorry. Next thing, before you do that, research your insurance. Insurance is dumb expensive, especially if you're going to be going on your own insurance when you buy a car. What type of insurance are you going to be able to afford? Understand your insurance policy. I'm 23 years old, and I still don't understand my insurance policy. I ain't even going to hold you. So if you can do that, understand your insurance policy before you purchase it, because you're going to be dropping a lot of money on it. You want to make sure that you have the right insurance. You don't want to be out here, you get into an accident, and now you got to pay out of pocket for stuff. Let's just go down the list one more time. You got your license, you got a job, you start saving money, you start educating yourself on what type of car you're going to get, you start educating yourself on what type of insurance you're going to get. Now you're at the point where you can buy your car. You bought your car and you got your insurance. Great. Now that you got those things settled, keep saving that money for your car taxes, keep saving that money for your car maintenance, and start having fun with your car in a safe way. Please do it in a safe way. And now you've closed the gap between where you were and where you want to be. And it's going to take time. It's not that easy as just me listing it out. It's going to take time. You got to be patient, and there's nothing wrong with that. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Enjoy every step of the way as much as you possibly can, because you're going to get to where you want to be. You're going to get the thing that you wanted. You're going to close that gap, and be grateful for the blessing. Be grateful for the opportunity, and be grateful for the journey that you're on to get to where you want to be. That's honestly the best part of it all, because once you get to the finish line of that goal, you can look back and just be like, I can't believe there was a point in time where I once didn't have X, Y, or Z, where I once wasn't X, Y, and Z, and now I have those things, and I remember when I went through this, and when I went through that, and when I lost this money, and how I got it back, and whatever the case may be. That's honestly the best part. And I'm trying to educate myself on that right now, and remind myself of that right now when I go on this journey, because there are a lot of things that are hard about this journey. There are a lot of struggles that I'm going through, a lot of ups and downs, a lot of movement that I didn't expect. This is a chess game, and I don't even know how to play chess. Okay? So I'm really just trying to learn to enjoy the parts of my life that I can't control and understand that this is all going to be a part of the journey. And once I'm at the point where I've reached the things that I journaled about later on, I can look back and I'll probably be that person that cries. I don't do well with emotion, but I will be that person that cries and just be like, I can't believe that there was a point in time where I was depressed, and there was a point in time where I was this, and there was a point in time where I was that, and now I'm here, and just be grateful for the blessing of it all. So definitely take that time to do some of the journal prompts that I talked about. Take them seriously, and once you wrote down, once you answered the questions that I talked about, then start doing the things that I mentioned. Start figuring out how you can close the gaps, list those things, and be realistic. Don't be like, I'm going to save 95% of my check and just live off 5%. That's not realistic. Even if you have no bills to pay, you're going to want to live your life too, and that's perfectly okay. Be realistic about how you're going to close the gap. You're going to be able to do it. It's going to happen for you, no doubt about it. All right, we're getting to that point where we've reached the affirmation for this week's episode. This time I kept it nice and short and sweet. So the affirmation for this week is, I am free to be whoever I choose. I'm going to go ahead and say that 3 times. If you have the ability to close your eyes, close your eyes. However you want to find a way to speak this positivity onto your life, find a way to do so. So, I am free to be whoever I choose. I am free to be whoever I choose. I am free to be whoever I choose. All right, y'all. So that's all that I have for you for today's episode. Let me know what your thoughts are. What does freedom look like for you? What is your definition of freedom? What are some things that you're doing to achieve the freedom that you want in your life? Are there some things that I left out from this episode? What did you learn? Let me know. If you're watching this on YouTube, go ahead and leave a comment. If you liked the episode, go ahead and hit that like button. And if you want to stick around and listen to some more episodes, go ahead and click that subscribe button and turn on your bell notifications so that whenever I post a video, you'll be notified. If you're listening to this on Spotify, go ahead and hit that follow button on Spotify and turn on your notifications for whenever I post a new episode. And until then, I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. See ya.